Anyway, chat and YouTube, welcome. Osiris here with yet another build. Today we talking about Warlord Forcewave, dual-handed channeling a version of the build, physical damage, eternal trauma damage. And we're gonna be talking about how to proceed, how to build this build from zero to hero on lower levels, what kind of items you want, in an end game, where to get those items, how the build looks like overall, what kind of skills using, what kind of devotion is using in the end game and early game, what's better to use and when. And we'll also be talking about the way I'm playing all the builds. The way I'm playing all the builds, I'm starting on ultimate difficulty. I'm jumping a level 5 ultimate difficulty using the merit medal to unlock ultimate from normal difficulty, and then we level up exclusively on the ultimate difficulty, which has presented its own challenges. Like you lack in resistances, you lack in reputational items, you lack in powders, and the monsters are generally harder to beat because they have better offensive and defensive abilities, which is what you also lack in. However, this build was really easy to play from lower level on ultimate difficulty, from level 5 up until level 100. There was no complication and cleaning speed in my survivability whatsoever. Survivability because as a mage build, because this is mage build. Also, a few more words to say about build itself. One of the best builds we played in a while, and like I say, good damage. We just killed 3 Celestials very easily, some of them under 5 minutes. So Mogodran, Kalagadra, and Ravager done. Ravager, because it's a range build and mage build, right? You already wouldn't have like much of trouble if you have enough time to kill any of those Celestials. You just need to enough kiting, dealing damage once per I don't know, half a minute for eternal trauma to finish the bosses. But this boss could like face stun Kalagadra for some amount of time, and Kalagadra actually was the easiest boss to fight with this build. And Ravager was probably the hardest boss to fight. We're fighting Ravager of the Flesh. But still, Ravager is easiest boss to fight in terms of his mechanic, right? You just need to kite him towards some point of an area when he's reset, and you can do it over and over and over again. And any range build can kill Ravager if you have enough damage and damage reduction for the element you're doing damage with. The element we're doing damage here is physical damage and physical internal trauma damage. We have enough resistance reduction for those elements. We're going to be talking about them. So a brief showcase of the build, what we have like stats wise. Right, we got a lot of offensive ability here. We just finished or tried to fight Kratos a couple of times and died a couple of times in Kratos boss, the hardest boss in the game. And we had a decent chance to beat him. The problem is my own skills and lack of understanding of mechanic of a Kratos boss. Or I need to polish my Kratos boss fighting technique. We do have enough damage against him. We do have enough everything, enough survivability. You just need to be a little bit more professional, more skilled about it. Gonna be so I believe this build in this configuration able to kill the Kratos boss as it is, if you're better players than me, that is. So yeah, that's why we have a lot of offensive ability, because I want to crit consistently against Celestials. This is offensive ability is too much for normal bosses. For Korvac boss, for any other boss, even for a Shalga or Lokar, that's too much of offensive ability. The Grim Tools are going to be linking the Grim Tools at the end of this long talking session, so please wait with that. So how we can definitely take some offensive ability from here and put into defensive ability, which is could be better. 2800 is still good enough for killing the celestial bosses without much of the trouble. But yeah, we can manipulate the powders on my rings. The Steel Bloom powder. We can get another Malmoth resistance powder that's giving you 70 flat defensive ability, and we can lower offensive ability in getting like defensive ability around 3k as well. So that's something I encourage you to play with. Armor rating here, 100% armor absorption, 3266 armor rating, with the chest having 34 and 29. The armor also could get better. There is, if you're replacing a Mark of Mogadren here with a component that giving you the lightning resistance, elemental resistance overall, because we wanted lightning resistance here over maximum for 90% to fight Mogadren. So we getting that component here and on my shoulder and my pants. You can replace both of those ward stones here and here with the blood crystal, which is giving you more armor and defensive ability, and lowering a little bit of your offensive ability at the same time. So again, this is stats you can play with. Physique, we went more of the points, most of the points into physique here. Cunning got whole whooping 4 points, despite it's good for, offensive ability or DPS. So how much of DPS we have here? Unbuffed DPS for this build is 163k. 163, but is going way over 200 when we get buffed, and we are constantly critting with this huge offensive ability. So that's another thing to consider. This is how our resistance is looking like: 90% for lightning, poison barely there, piercing, bleeding over maximum, Lord Vitality, Ether, Chaos, and stun resistance could be better. You probably need better stun resistance for a Great Boss, maybe, but it's good enough. Was good enough for fighting the Mogadren. Secondary tab here. Like you see, most of the damage we coming from physical damage, 72k per second, internal trauma 23k per second, and there's a little bit of bleeding from some items here, there, or maybe it's Constellation. I can't really say. So this is a mage build. And the main stats you need to look here is casting speed instead of attack speed, right? Critical damage 23%. Don't care about the healing. So a physical damage modifier 25, almost 2600% boost, and 2700% for internal trauma here. And also we have life steals here, 10%. Very important one for the build. Doing a lot of damage, but only a life regen we have so much as life regen and a flask, right? Life restoration. So a life steal here is very important to have. Since we're doing main hand damage to the enemies with the Forcewave and stealing a lot of lives from them. The easiest way to get life regen, getting Restless Remains early on, right, on your gloves, is also giving you casting speed. And there's also later on it's we have the Hunger Oil from Borofholm faction, right? 6% to life leech here, so that you can buff it before you get like some life regenerating like we have it. Okay, casting speed here 165%, so not to maximum yet. but good enough to deal with anything promptly. I'm gonna showcase the build in the Shatter Realms after we talk about the build composition and stuff, basically in a couple of tens of minutes here. Another thing to pay attention here is physical resistance, important for reflection. There's reflect resistance 100%, by the way, 100%, and if you don't have 100%, you will be able to kill yourself very easily with reflection damage if you attack damage reflective elites, which has happened to me a couple of times. So pay attention to the stats, right? Physical resistance 42, but when pressing on Ascension, this can go to up to 50. Also, freeze resistance, I'll be using the Warlord Forcewave ointment, craftable for additional 66% when we need it. So that's about the stats here. Our highest damage dealt is almost 500,000, 486k and a half. Right, we died plenty just recently fighting a crate boss. Right, we died recently fighting a crate boss, a couple of times even to the maggots. But this death indication is not indication of how bad or good build is. It's just indication of me as a player doing stupid things, especially on ultimate difficulty early on, like always. So how the build works? It's mostly damage with Forcewave here. Well, we are reducing enemy resistances with my Break Morale, and we have Guardians of Empyrean, 2 of them, which is also reducing enemy physical resistance. That's basically all the skill rotation. Sometimes we're using Cursed Tincture. That's one you can get from Covenant faction for additional physical resistance reduction. And sometimes you can buff my damage even further with Elixirs of Ancients. It's a craftable, you need a recipe for that. Because there's so little skills for you to use on this build, we went and used some tinctures here for the buffs and buffing myself. And also, like I say, sometimes we put an Ascension, which is giving me additional damage. The damage reduction we have here. Overall physical damage reduction. First of all, on the Forcewave we have minus 32% to physical resistance from Assassin Mark. Every time I have a critical attack, on the critical attack, 100% chance to apply this Assassin Mark. So that's why I require this so much of offensive ability to consistently crit on the Celestials and consistently applying this 32% of minus resistance reduction. We also have Guardian of Empyrean giving you additional minus 25% resistance reduction, so making it 57 resistance reduction physical. And then Break Morale is additional flat 26. Right, so it's more than enough for anything, and if it's not really enough yet, there's Cursed Tincture. Cursed Tincture is additional minus 8%. So we didn't have any problem with resistance reduction whatsoever with this build. Items. The most important item for the build is potentially this mace. This mace over here, Stone Fist Rebuke, is level 84 mace. You have a good chance for finding it by farming the totems, and it's giving you flat damage to Forcewave, right, and a lot of physical damage boost, and eternal trauma damage boost, and a casting speed, which is also important. We're using Seal of Might as the component on it, and we're using Potent Mammoth Wheel Powder, more health, more vitality resistance. This also could be replaced by additional different powder from Cult of Bismal, for example, that giving you more eternal trauma flat, but removing this vitality resistance, which is like way over maximum 24%. So that's the most important piece of the build. How do you get it? How do you get it with the build before you get in this the Stone Fist of Rebuke? You're using Obsidian Work Lever. Obsidian Work Lever, which is also buffing your Forcewave a lot and internal trauma, giving you a lot of like physical damage there. So that's a primal weapon. You can farm while even normal difficulty 4. Alright, in order to get it, there's a lot of guys dropping a lot of those enemies that can drop those. So it's not really hard to get. Not really hard to get. Another a monster and frequent you want early games. Alright, it's Chosen Gaze, a helmet. Again, buff physical damage to Forcewave. Right, a buff your Forcewave. And depending on the affixes you can get like a pretty good one as well. I'm pretty satisfied with this like attack one and order for my chaos resistance, but depending on your gear configuration, you can get a different affixes. We're using Titan Platin here for a reflected damage reduction, right, to get that 100%. And another Shambler's Heart is probably the earliest item you can get for this build in terms of monster and frequent. The Shambler's Heart here. Physical damage to Forcewave, more points to Forcewave, and more physical damage overall. So this is like 3 items, 3 monster and frequent. The Gaze, the Shambler's Heart, and Obsidian Warhammer that you can rely on early on. For the belt, we're using and for the set itself, we're using 3 pieces of Avenger gear here. So belt, Avenger, Griddle. That's the early, that's the late game stuff here. You can craft Avenger armor if you have a recipe. So this is early, easy to acquire set. If you have a recipe to craft the armor, you can use it. Craft 3 pieces of the armor. Of the chest armor and transmute 2 pieces via inventor into shoulder guards and the belt, right? Which you done with shoulder guards. The belt we just found in some totem. So 3 pieces offensive ability. We got it for offensive ability. For the belt, we're using Underbook Leather here. Right, and early on, when you're leveling up, there is a good belt you can craft on level 35, the Devil's Griddle, +1 to skill and soldier, and is giving you physical and internal trauma damage. So that's the one you can craft early on. Alright, there's also the shoulder guards we're using here. Again, Avenger shoulder guards with Sacred Platin. Sacred Platin for more armor absorption, Vitality and Easter resistance, because we are struggling with getting this Easter resistance here in this build. You see, we have some bunch of Easter resistance powders over a place, but early on we can use like some chosen powders, which is not doing actually anything. Never mind. This is some random drop. Never mind. Never mind what I say. Okay, so that's how our breastplates look like. Powders, living armor here for more offensive ability, elemental resistances to get to this 90% of lightning, and living armor. Yeah, okay, and well, the powder for Easter resistance. Another thing to pay attention to is a relic. We're using a Doom relic here. And it's level 90 relic. More physical damage, more internal trauma damage and duration. Casting speed +1 skills in soldier. Before this, we were using Juggernaut. Juggernaut from level 35. That's the relic you're probably gonna be carrying up until level 90, which is indeed. Have you given you this unstoppable skill, right? Health regen, and there was not really a great level 6 relic that I wanted to replace because Juggernaut giving you this 5% offensive ability. which is probably not be a problem. You can get for level 60 a relic easy enough if you're playing on normal difficulty or veteran difficulty, because we need a more offensive ability as in the mid game for this build, because we're playing on ultimate difficulty and monsters that have more defensive ability to deal through. As a medal, we're using Sigil of the Berry King here. Again, more critical damage to Forcewave, more internal trauma damage, some internal trauma and rendering force, more physical damage overall, and some casting speed. Early on, there's most infrequent item medal called Ryuk Crest over here, and that's what we were using early on. It's giving me some physical damage, and it's giving me a fighting form, critical damage to fighting spirit, and a total speed to fighting spirit. So it's probably the best medal to use for this build before you get the Bear King. And depending on what kind of medal you get, for example, here we have something with 158 offensive ability, right, devastating of attack, and I was really contemplating if I should keep using this. For the rings, we're using one Life Giver's rings for getting this additional 7% of attack damage converted to health, which is meaning you don't really need it. You don't really need it, this additional 7%, because you're getting 6% out of hunger oil, and 10% or 9% is just enough to provide you, sustain your, just pay attention. This build is not supposed to be face tanking too much. It is technically a mage build, despite how good its stats look like. But you can definitely have like two Storm Seal rings. This is a reputation item. You get it from a Covenant of Undebog. All right, the Covenant. I mean, I should show in where you can get those items, should I? So the Covenant of Undebog, you can get this. You don't need to be honored, revered to get. There it is. The Storm Seal. Alright, you can play with its stats. Could be rolling with better physical damage, with better defensive ability. So you can have like two of those rings, so they're pretty good in late game if you didn't find any better rings. There are some better rings, but you need to craft like to farm for them like, really long, like the Bastia ring, or whatever it's called, from Court of Magi in Forgotten Tomb, or the Tomb of Heretic, as I say, Tomb of Heretic. So that's covers the rings. Early on, there's also Sigil of Ruination. Okay, wait a minute. Early on, there's some rings from Devil's Crossing faction. Okay, Devil's Crossing faction is level 35 ring, I believe, and you can use 2 of them before you get in this level 19 Covenant of Storm rings. That's how we play in it early game. What else? The gloves. The gloves I play in here is the Broad gloves, because it's giving me a lot of trauma damage, right? Eternal trauma and shattering smash, plus 2 skills, physical damage, offensive ability as well, and boots again for offensive ability, bone shattered threats, and 89 offensive ability over here, and there is a pants doing the same, giving me an insane amount of offensive ability. So we have in Blade Platinum on the pants, which is, like I say, could be replaced, and we have in Mark of Mogodren. We talked earlier how you can replace it for. What is the components called? Let's go and see that components can it replace with. The one that going on all armor and giving you elemental resistance to keep that 90% of lightning resistance for Mogodren fight. All armor. Let's see. There it is. A spell Scorched Plantain. Piercing resistance and 15 elemental resistance, so we can replace, like I say, this Wardstone with bloody crystals. Okay, anything else we miss here? For gear, I think we carried all the gear, did we? We did. And we talk about early game, how we can use Shambler's Heart, the Devil's Crossing Griddle, you can get from Devil's Crossing reputation recipes, alright, and Ruyer Crest over here, for a medal, rings from Devil Crossings. So basically this is a boost I was using early on, just for some stats on a legendary difficulty. You don't need it on a normal difficulty for sure. There's also the medal we were using, the Mark of Impurity as well, before we get any good Ruyer Crest. So that's cover the gear. How does like skills, looking and constellations look like? The soldier was my main class. Obviously, soldiers have so many good skills, like to put your fate, to put your points into. Obviously, we maxed it out Forcewave, hard capped it, and you know it's really easy to hard camp a Forcewave as a skill here. We had like yeah, we don't even get a soft cuff in terms of points here yet, because we so much of like over points we had from all the gear. So we're using it with a tremor, right? That's why we're not using Markovian Advantage or any of this Dalton technique, or because it's just not working with the tremor here. Rendering Force and Internal Trauma didn't got them to hard cap, unfortunately. We have Fighting Spirits for that extra offensive ability. It was useful early game, but it's questionable. Okay, it's provided me a little more damage, but it's questionable if you need, if it's really needed against Celestials when you're already doing a lot of damage. Warcry with Break Morale, 4 points into Break Morale here. 26% flat reduction was enough. As my unique exclusive skills I use early on Rage. Alright, more internal trauma damage, more offensive ability. And we have Field Command, we have Squad Tactic for more damage, casting speed, and more offensive defensive. Armor Absorption there, Scars of Battles for the stun reduction and armor absorption. More of a stun reduction, so have decorated soldiers for more physical damage, and military condition, 1 point to the veterancy, 1 point to Menhir Will, for some emergency healing, right? And Oath Skipper, the most important skill is here Summon Gathering Empyrean with Celestial Presence, so we can get this 25% flat physical reduction on them. Then Skyman after Presence of Virtue for more offensive ability and Rebuke for more damage. 1 point to your Silence. Okay. For, well, to get more silent. And Sanction also providing this boost offensive ability, which is having over the maximum. So we definitely can min-max those skills a little bit to get a lower offensive ability. If you're not planning to fight Celestials, even if you plan to fight the Celestials, you still can get a lower offensive ability and provide more defensive ability with the powders trick I mentioned before. So that's the skills. That's the skills. We talk about skill rotation, devotion points. So the first thing I went for this build, it was a hammer. It was a hammer for more damage, physical damage, internal trauma damage. But the most important constellation for this build is definitely the Assassin Mark, which is we have it on a Forcewave, and we talk how important it is to have this minus physical reduction, and how important to have a huge offensive ability to guarantee to for this Assassin Mark to activate. Since we were leveling up on ultimate difficulty, early on we were using Crane Constellation, we were using a Chair Constellation to provide for me with the solar resistance it's given me. We even were using Eel to enable Kraken, but this is how the endgame part looks like. Anvil, and the hammer never gonna be happen, but we need it for ascendance. Right, actually we have ascendance over maximum, so that, yeah. We have Ulzard Herald here, with Ulzard Decree on a Warcry, 100% chance on attack, giving me additional boost to my damage. Right, if you hit an enemy with the Warcry, and additional armor. Since we're using the mace, late game we have Rovari Scepter, and we also have Orleon over here with all the boosts to physical damage, all the boosts to internal trauma damage over here. Right, moving to the side, we have a Chariot. Since the mid game for providing this more offensive ability and more survivability with Wayward Souls. Right, health, defensive ability. And Kraken, since we two-handed melee weapon. Right, more casting speed, more overall damage, 50 over here percent and 70% over here. Also we have Bull as a filler to get the Kraken. Alright. And the last constellation with here is a Hawk. It's a Hawk to get Eldritch, 5 in Eldritch, which you need for Kraken. That's how my endgame constellation looks like. We're gonna be jumping on the Super saying how the endgame nowadays in Grim Dawn last played in 2021. It's definitely harder. It's definitely harder with Thunder mechanic. Alright, so we need to be careful, you need to kite more, you need to be dodging. If you saw like Mogodren fight, we fighted before this, we were dodging quite a bit of his thunder attack because I just can't face tank. Many builds who were able to face tank before, Celestials and stuff, we just can't do it right now because of thunder mechanic. So overall it's getting harder. And they buff like normal bosses as well, here and there. Right, so endgame, we're gonna be jumping. Unfortunately, I only have like level 50 Shattered Realms, so I'm gonna be demonstrating how the build working in field condition on level 50 Shattered Realm.
Bring me back any blueprints you find.
And then we conclude our.
How far shall we?
Then we conclude our overview about the build. I'm gonna be linking Grim Tool links to the build as well in the chat and in the. If you're watching it on YouTube, on in the description of the video. Yes, Shadow Realm, not a new map. So let's see if we can destroy this elite really fast, indeed. Doesn't have like any danger to my health whatsoever. But again, this is not really a face tanking build, it's like a mage. It's saying Warlord. Should consider it to be the most tankiest of the build, especially because Soldier providing you good boost to everything. But it is in some situation you need to kite the enemies. Like we did fought a Lockhart today, and I couldn't face tank the Lockhart. His thunder damage was destroying me. You got like one-shot enemy with thunder damage. So the solution was to kite him and kill him with eternal trauma. I already did. Okay, this is something like a Reef in Diablos. Shadow Realms, well, kinda, yeah. So it's only level 50. Usually you want to test your builds against level 60 Shadow Realm. But I think like against like this amount of release, this spawning and amounts of hard enemies, it's a good indication for anyone. Okay, look at this. So there's where he is. Mistakes. So I got hit by thunder damage. Almost get killed if I didn't press my cluster. That's one of the hardest for this build, probably. Nemesis we just fought there. So that's how dangerous the thunder damage became with 1.2 patch. There are some more manageable bosses over here. One down. Okay, this is Storm Scourge's actual nemesis. You can meet on a regular map, and we're killing him. Maybe not so fast, but stat fast at least. Another statement, welcome. Okay, so this is a moment, like I was saying, when you probably better to guide them and kill them with eternal trauma.
Can't do that
Because we can't really face tank much. It's not as face tanky build as like Warlord with like a Blitz skill, whatever. Okay, so that's the bottom line of our capabilities as a damage dealer. I would say have a good DPS, good sustainability, but not really enough face tanking. Mind you, it's a mage build. Nonetheless, it's very good for starting the build on ultimate difficulty. Do you need a Crucible mod for Shatterlamp? No, you just need Forgotten Gods DLC. Yeah, you just need the Forgotten Gods DLC for this. So here goes the link to the build itself. Right, here it goes. Let me generate it. And we're gonna be putting the link on in the YouTube description as well. And that's conclude our Warlord build. Thank you guys for joining, for watching on the YouTube. Don't forget to press that follow button. Gonna be helping me quite a lot with inspiring me to get more builds for Grim Dawn.